Hi there and welcome to the Python Mega Course Build 10 Real-World Applications. I assume you're curious to know what this course contains and you would also want to know what you will achieve by completing this course. So that's what this introductory video is all about. Back to the course content now. You don't need any previous knowledge of Python to take this course. The course will take you from zero and you'll build up the skills slowly and advance them as you will build these 10 applications. This is called a mega course because first it has 22 hours of content, and second, the course will guide you on how to create 10 large applications in different areas of Python, starting from data analysis to visualizations on the web and web apps with databases and many more. And specifically, you will build these 10 applications. First, you will start small by first building a program that generates text given some user-defined rules. Then, as the second application, you'll build a program that creates web maps, and after that, you'll build a program that blocks access to certain websites in certain hours during the day in your computer. This program has been quite useful for me personally, as it doesn't let me browse distracting websites while I'm working, so that improves my productivity. And then as the fourth application, you are going to build a website with Python and the Flask framework. And not just that, but you will also learn how to deploy the website in a live server so that everyone can see your website through the website URL address. Then you will build a desktop program that interacts with a database and lets users store, delete and view data through the program Graphical-User interface, which you are going to build with Python. Next, you'll create a program that starts the computer webcam and starts recording the video, and it detects movement live in the video frame that is being captured. And so the program also records motion data and produces a web graph with an overview of the motion that took place in front of the camera. And all this process is fully automatic. Next, you will create a web scraper, which is a program that extracts data from websites and stores those data in a well-structured format, such as CSV or Excel files. Then you'll create a web app which visualizes stock market data on a web page. This is very useful for people who work on data analysis and visualizations. And after that, you'll build a web app using Python and the Flask web framework. This web app will have a PostgreSQL database as well in the backend, and in the front end it will have an HTML form where users can submit data, and then the program sends an automatic email to the users with some statistics extracted from the backend database. So that's a very interesting web application with lots of features. And lastly, you will create a web application that lets users submit addresses of locations, and the program converts those addresses to geographic numeric coordinates and lets the user download the output through the web page. So that's about the 10 applications. All the content is yours and you have unlimited access. However, here is my advice now. Let's be honest, if all you do is watching the videos without trying the codes that I show in the videos, you won't be able to learn Python easily. You cannot learn how to drive a car by just watching someone else do it, right? So make sure you write and play around with the code I show in the videos, and don't just copy my code, but try to experiment, change some parts of the code, run the program again, and see how the output changes. Also, try to solve the assignments you are given, because there are a few assignments throughout the course, and also ask questions in the Q&A area, so in the question and answer area. Do internal research and be persistent on solving code issues which always arise while programming, no matter how good you are. If you do all that, you will have very good control of the Python programming language, and you'll be ready to apply for at least an entry-level job after you finish this course. That's about the course. Now, feel free to go to the next lecture, and I wish you good luck. Thanks. Great. Before we go ahead and learn about the Python basics such as variables, functions, and so on, I think it's good that you understand how a Python program looks like. This is especially good if you have never programmed before. Now, as in many other programming languages, you may have three kinds of programs. And I'll tell you why we have three kinds of programs. So you may have a program with a command line interface, such as this one here. You may have a program with a graphical user interface, such as this one here. So it's a desktop application. And you may also have web applications, such as this one in here, that runs on the browser, and it can be accessed through the internet. Now, the first thing you should know is that all these programs, they are based on a .py file, such as these ones in here. So this is a Python file, and whenever you start building something, you should write your code in this script, which looks like this one here. Anyway, and then once you have that script, you can either run it through the command line interface, such as this one, script for.py, execute it, and then you communicate with the interface. So your program, your Python program, is asking you to enter some letters in there. So enter V, enter C for consonants, L or C, anyway, and you get some output in the command line interface. Now, when do you use such a program? Well, you'd use this program if you're not planning to distribute this program to normal users, to people who don't know programming. So, as you saw, I use Python, the Python program, which I have already installed, and I'll show you how to install that later. So I use Python and then point to the Python script, so to the Python program, to execute that program. Now, normal users, they don't have Python installed, or they don't know how to execute a Python program. And that's why you have graphical user interfaces there, such as this one, or browsers, such as this one in here. And yeah, when would you use a desktop application such as this? Well, you'd use that if you just want to distribute your program to a specific number of users. Let's say you work on a company and you want to build a program for the employees of the company to do specific tasks. And so you could build this program, and it's possible to create an executable file out of your Python program. This particular one is a .exe file for Windows. It runs on Windows as a standalone program, but you can also create .app files for Mac computers. And yeah, then the user, they don't need to have Python installed. They would simply execute that .exe file, and they can use the application. So yeah, that's the application. We will be building all these three applications in the course. So the command line interface one, the web application, and the desktop-based application. And then you have web applications, such as this one in here. So when would you use a web application? Well, web applications are best when your audience is large. So basically, you may want as many users to your application as possible. So for instance, what we have here is, this is a geocoder service. So it geocodes, it converts addresses to latitude and longitude coordinates. So what users can do here is they can choose a file, so a CSV file, and then you calculate latitude and longitude and send them back a CSV file with those values. So a web application, in simple words, can be for anyone. This also is based on .py files on the background, so I wouldn't show these files for now. We're going to build all these applications as I told you. So, and yeah, that's about this lecture. I hope you have a clear idea now on what a Python program looks like, and what you can do with Python as well. If you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A section, so in the discussion area of the course. And yeah, I'll be happy to help you. Hope you enjoy this, and I'll talk to you in the next lectures. Hello there, and welcome to this new lecture. In this lecture, I'll show you how to set up Python in your computer. Specifically, these instructions are for Windows users. So if you are a Mac or a Linux user, you can skip this lecture. You can go to the next lecture where I'll show you how to set up Python on a Mac, and the instructions also work for Linux users. So for Windows users, please follow if you haven't installed Python yet. We're going to download and install Python, and also try Python out. And so you go to python.org, that's the official Python website, and you go to downloads, and here you'll see the latest Python version. Currently this is 3.6.0. Just click that and save file. You also notice that there's also a version Python 2, so Python 2.7 to be exact. But Python 2 is not being supported anymore after 2020. So Python 2 is slowly retiring. So it's advisable to use Python 3. This one in here. Once you have downloaded the .exe file, just click it. Run. You can choose to install it in the default directory, but you can also do a customized installation if you want to change the directory. Anyway, make sure you have checked this option, add Python 3.6 to path. So I'm gonna go with the default installation process. And yeah, that was it. Setup was successful. You can close the window now, and we can go ahead and open Python. So how do we do that on Windows? Well, you can press the Windows key button. So we're talking about the Win key. By pressing it, you will be able to search on the Start button. Alternatively, you can simply go to the Start button, click it, and then type cmd. And then click on cmd.exe, and that will open the Windows command prompt. So this is like the terminal on Mac or Linux. On Mac and Linux it is referred to as the terminal. On Windows it is referred to as the command prompt or the command line. To open Python, all you have to do is type in Python, and that will open an interactive session of Python. And an interactive session is best for testing out. So here you can write lines of code one by one, like that, and you promptly get the results in here. So this is why we call it interactive. But you cannot, it's not very appropriate to write multiple lines of code. So let's say you have a program that has 10 lines of code, and in that case you'd want to write those lines in a file, in a Python file, but we will cover that later. This is the interactive shell. This is good for testing. So before you do a program, you are not sure about certain aspects, certain commands that you want to include, certain keywords that you want to include in your program, so you test things out in here very quickly. This is very efficient, and it's also good for learning. To exit the interactive shell, you'd press exit and brackets, open and closing brackets. Now, something you probably noted was that the Python that I opened was version 3.5.2. But why is that? Because I installed Python 3.6 in here. 3.6. So why did I get Python 3.5.2? Well, the answer is that I already had Python 3.5.2 installed on my Windows. So in other words, before I installed Python 3.6, I could trigger a Python shell like that. So the question is, how do I run Python 3.6 now? Well, the first thing you should know is that there is no problem having multiple Python installations in your system. The key here is that you have to assign different commands to each of your Python installations. So for instance, Python 3.5.2 has these commands to run Python. Now for Python 3.6 we need to assign another command, and I'll go and search for the installation directory of Python 3.6. So open that, and now Windows, when you search for Python, when you enter the Python command here, Windows is looking at the path variable, the Windows path variable, and it's searching for this type of command Python. But this was already occupied by another, so by Python 3.5.2. That's why it triggers Python 3.5.2. So in that case, you may want to do a trick here. Let's say do Python 36 and restart the command prompt, and then run again Python 36, and you get Python 36. So that's a trick. And again, of course, you can do operations here and so on. Of course, you still have Python 3.5. At least I have Python 3.5. Maybe you don't because you didn't have any Python installed just yet. So that's the idea. On your system, if you install Python for the first time, if you install Python 3.4.6, you'll be able to execute Python with this command, Python. If you had an existing Python installation and you install a new one, no problem, you can run Python 36 like I did. I hope this was clear, and I hope you are up and running now with Python, and I'll talk to you in the next lectures. Hi and welcome to this new lecture. In this lecture you're going to learn how to set up Python in a Mac computer. So if you are a Windows user, you can skip this lecture because you have a Windows computer, and we explained how to set up Python on Windows previously in the previous lectures, and the instructions will also work for Linux computers because a Mac is based on Unix. And so let's begin. The first thing you need to know is that you already have Python on your Mac. So Python comes shipped with Mac by default. And let's go and open Python. I'm going to click here and then type terminal and then open the terminal app. So terminal is equivalent of command line on Windows. And here now let's go ahead and open Python. You can simply call Python, and if you see these three arrows there, that means you were able to start a Python session. So good news. However, if you look here, you'll see this is Python 2.7, so it's a bit outdated, and the current version of Python is Python 3. So it's recommended that you actually install Python 3 on your Mac or Linux instead of using the old version, Python 2.7. Because we're going to use a lot of libraries later on in the course, and some libraries may not be compatible for Python 2.7. You can still work with Python 2.7 if you take the responsibility to fix errors and compatibility issues that may arise as you learn Python. So it's going to be maybe some extra work. However, I advise you to install Python 3. So I'm going to exit Python 2, the Python 2 session, exit and 2 brackets, and you go again back to the terminal. To install Python 3, open a browser, and then you should go to python.org. Then go to downloads and then install the latest version of Python, which should be shown here. So Python 3.6 is the current version, and that should download Python. I can see this bar in here. And so please don't uninstall Python 2.7 if you are planning to install Python 3.6. Because Python 2.7 is connected to your operating system, so if you uninstall it, you may harm your operating system, so you may get some messy errors there. So simply ignore Python 2.7, so leave it be, don't uninstall it, and simply click on this package that you have just downloaded. You should see the installation wizard, so simply go and click continue, continue again, and read the license if you like. I'm going to go and click on agree and then install. Provide your username there, your Mac username. Click on install software. And so finally the installation was smooth and it was successful. Click on close. Yeah, I'm going to move it to trash. So the installation package, and now go ahead and go back to your terminal. So again, if you enter Python, you're going to get Python 2.7. So how do you get Python 3? Well, exit, and simply click Python 3, just like that. Execute, and you'll see that this is Python 3.6. And yeah, good luck. So normally this is the command you'll be using on Mac, which means whenever I type Python on Windows, you're going to type Python 3 on Mac or Linux. As easy as that. And so now you have Python installed, and here you can do operations. You get the idea. However, please note that what we're doing here, we're programming interactively. So we're simply writing some lines of code, but these lines will not be saved anywhere if we write them in this interactive session. So what we want to do is we want to write scripts of code. So Python files which we can save. We can save the code and we can execute all the lines at once. And we'll be doing that in the next lecture. So please follow me, and yep, I hope it worked for you, and I'll talk to you in the next lectures. Hi again, and in this video I'll show you how to create and how to run a Python program. In the previous lecture we set up Python and we ran a Python interactive session. So that was like a running code line by line. But what we want to do instead, we want to write code that we are able to save it in a file, and we're able to run all the code at once. So that's what we're going to do in this lecture, and this is targeted to Windows users. So if you have a Windows computer, please watch this. If you have a Mac computer or even a Linux computer, please skip this video and go to the next video where I show you the same process but on a Mac computer. So Windows users, let's create a Python program. We're going to use very basic tools for now, but then in the next lecture we're going to download and use an advanced editor. On Windows, before creating the program, there's something you need to make sure of. You go to Organize and you go to Folder and Search Options. You go to View and then look here for this option, Hide Extensions for Known File Types. You want to make sure this option is unchecked, just as I have it here. Don't check it. Yeah. Cancel that. And with the option unchecked, you go ahead and right click and create a text document and put a name, let's say my program, and you want to remove the txt extension. I want to say .py. Okay, no problem. I want to change the name. Now this is the file where you're going to write your Python code. So just go ahead and edit it with any editor that you have, maybe Notepad. We're going to use Atom later. For now, this is good. And this program, what this will do, it will print out some text. Let's say the hello text. So that's what you do. You use the Python print function, and then the function has this syntax. So it expects to have some brackets, opening and closing brackets, and inside these brackets you want to pass the thing that you want to print out. In this case, this is called a string. We'll cover strings later, or you can say text. So we want to print out some text, and text goes inside quotes always. So strings go inside quotes. Make sure you want to save, Ctrl S. Exit the script, and then click outside in here and hold Shift and right click, and then you want to go to open command window here. That will open the command prompt. Look carefully and you'll see that the command prompt was open in this current directory, which reflects, which is actually the directory of your Python file. So this one in here, this one in here is in here. So before you run the program, you need to have these two directories the same, because if you open the command prompt from here, as we did in the previous lecture, that will go to another default directory. The best way to do is as I did it here. Shift right click and go to open command window here. And then what you do is you type Python and then the name of your program. My program.py. So what you're doing is you're using Python, the Python program, to execute this file. And you get the output in the command line, which is hello, the text hello. Similarly, I could execute it with my Python 3.6.py, and you get the same output again. So 3.6 and 3.7 doesn't make any big difference. The differences are very, very slight, so you don't have to worry about that. Let me execute it one more time, Python, and if you type now my, and if you press the tab key, that will auto-complete the name of your file. So it will find the name of your file because it knows that you are in this current directory. So use tab for auto-completion. And yeah, again, you execute it and you get the output. Of course, you can go ahead and add other lines of code there. Let's say print 7, a number. Numbers don't go inside quotes. Ctrl S to save and close, and go to the command line again and press the upper arrow key to execute, to call a previously executed statement. So upper arrow key will call Python myprogram.py, execute, and you get hello and 7. That's the idea. Hope you enjoy this, and I'll talk to you in the next lecture. Hey, hello again. In this lecture I'll show you how to download and install the Atom editor. Atom is a powerful and very efficient editor for writing and executing Python code. This lecture is specifically for Windows, so for Mac users, please go to the next lecture. So this far what we did was we installed Python and we tried a Python interactive session in the command prompt, and we also created a Python program using a simple editor such as Notepad or whatever editor you had on your Windows. So now we're going to use another editor, which is Atom, and you need to go and install it from and download it from the Atom official webpage. Just click the button there, save file, and it will take a while until it downloads. Great, the download process has finished now, so I'm going to click on Atom, click on Run to run the installation. And yeah, you have to wait a while until Atom is installed. And yeah, the installation was quick, and now Atom has been open on my Windows. However, I would like to close it here and show you the standard way of how to open Atom. So the way that you'd normally open Atom when you start programming. So one way to open Atom is to browse through your programs and open Atom by clicking it. However, that will open Atom in a random directory, so the most efficient way to open Atom is to go to the directory where you have your programs. So the program that we have is myprogram.py, and then outside in here, right click and go to open with Atom. But if you don't see open with Atom, like I do, so I don't have open with Atom for now, then go and open Atom from your programs, go to File, Settings, and then check these two options. So these options were under System, under the System tab of the Settings menu, and then close Atom, and then right click, and now you should see this menu in here. Open it, and you should now see this view. But if you don't see the tree view here, the directory tree view, go to View, and then toggle tree view. So you can toggle it off and on. You can close this, and then to open your program, so to edit your program, you simply double click your file, your Python file, and yeah, you start writing. Print, start adding more code. Always press Ctrl S to save. And now to execute this code, you can either go here and open your command window here with shift right click, or there is a more efficient way to do it. You need to go to File, Settings, Packages, Install. You want to install a new package and search for Platform IDE Terminal. Hit enter. And yeah, this is the package I want to install, so click install. So this is a package that will install or will integrate a terminal, a command line inside Atom, so you don't have to use the external Windows, the native Windows command line, and you can run your programs from within Atom. Alright, Platform IDE Terminal was installed successfully. You can close the Settings tab, and so now you should see this plus icon in here. Clicking the icon will open a new terminal. So now this is open in the current directory, which reflects the directory of your Atom directory, so of your programs. Now you can go ahead and type in commands here to run your Python program. So my tab for auto-completion, and that will auto-complete like that. Don't worry about this. This just means the current directory. So when you do tab will add this. Ignore it and press enter, and you'll see the program output on the terminal. You can clear the terminal from the code from previously executed commands, and of course you can call previously executed commands with the upper arrow key, execute again. And don't confuse executing a program with opening a Python interactive session. So here you write Python code like print 7, for example, interactively. But if you exit this, because I see some students who will go ahead and run Python code in here, but this is wrong. This is not Python, this is Windows, the Windows command line. So don't do that. Instead, write Python code inside an interactive session or inside a Python file. And that's the idea, and this is Atom. I hope you like it, and I'll talk to you later. Hello again, and this is yet another lecture for Mac users. And in this lecture I'm going to show you how to set up the Atom editor on a Mac computer. So if you're a Windows user, please skip this lecture. Atom is quite an advanced editor, but if you have your favorite editor by now, you can go ahead and use that editor. So that's perfectly fine. If you choose to have a look at the Atom editor, then please follow this lecture. First of all, you're going to have to download Atom. Simply search for Atom editor, and then go to its website, which is atom.io. Download for Mac. And so while you wait for the download, this is how the Atom editor will look like. So like that. And so the download has finished on my end, and you can go ahead and click Atom, click open, and yeah, basically Atom has been downloaded and has been installed. So you've got a welcome guide in here. You can close that. This is an empty file. I'm going to close it as well. And let me close Atom and try to show you how to actually open it from scratch. So how to start Atom from the beginning. And so let's see how to create a program and execute a program with Atom. And you want to launch Atom, and then go to View, Developer, Open in Dev Mode, and that will ask you for the directory that you want to open. So go to Desktop, Go to the folder where you have your programs, or the folder where you want to create your programs if you haven't created any program yet, and click open. And so you get this tree view in here, and close that, and double clicking a file will open the file here in the editor. And so you can go ahead and add more code there, 3 plus 4, and you can also create other files. So right click on the main directory, go to new file, my program 2.py, let's say print 5 this time, Ctrl S to save. And so you have 2 programs now in here, and you can switch through the different files by clicking the tabs in here. So how to execute these programs now? Well, you can use your Mac terminal just as you did in the previous lecture, or even better, you can go ahead and install a package. So go to Packages, Settings, View, Open. Go to Install, type Platform IDE, so dash IDE dash terminal. Enter to search, and then go ahead and install the Platform IDE terminal package. The installation should take a few moments. And yeah, finally, Platform IDE terminal has been installed successfully. So you can go ahead and close settings, and you'll see a plus icon in here. If you click that, an embedded terminal will open in Atom Editor, and you can drag it down and up to resize it. If you see closely, you'll notice that the terminal is open in the current folder. See, so untitled folder, this one in here. And that means you can go ahead and use Python now, Python 3, and execute a program, my tab program.py, and that will print hello. Actually, it was supposed to print hello and then 7, but maybe I didn't save the script. So click on the editor here, Ctrl S to save, and then click on the terminal again, press the upper arrow key to call a previously executed command, execute, and you get hello and 7. And yeah, this is how to use the Atom Editor. This is good because you have both, you have the directory tree here with your files, with your Python files, and you have the editor here, and you also have an embedded terminal. So I hope you like Atom, and from now on I'll be using Windows, but things will be exactly the same because Python is cross-platform, so which means the code is exactly the same on Mac and Windows and Linux as well. So just follow me, and I hope you'll succeed with Python. I'll talk to you in the next lecture.